Okay, everyone, welcome. Once again, I wanted to give everyone just a quick heads up that we are going to now go live here, and I appreciate you being on the webinar tonight. I know many of you who have reached out to me in the interim have really been appreciative of the fact that we are putting out quality training. And for those of you who are on the webinar tonight for your first time, I want you to understand that when we hold our webinars, and I know there are some of you that are on the webinar tonight for the first time, and then there are those of you that are revisiting for a second and third, I guess, round of pain. So we like to have a lot of fun on the webinars, but through all the fun, one thing I can promise you is that we cut right through the fluff. We get to the stuff. It's the meat and potatoes of skill development that's required for you to develop this type of business. And we're going to go in multiple different locations today. I mean, we're going to go in multiple different directions, covering a lot of ground. I like to make sure that when you get off a webinar, it's like you ran a marathon. It's like you've had a great workout, and you are just exhausted, and you're spent. There's nothing left on the table. There's nothing left behind. You just go home and you are ready to excitingly engage, exhausted, but excited to engage in all the stuff that we're going to cover tonight. And I can promise you that depending what time zone you're in, you probably are not going to get much sleep tonight. In fact, let me confirm that you will not get any sleep tonight, or very little anyway. And I can say that as a testimony to what you're going to learn. I can also say that as a testimony to what I've heard other people say to me when they get off the webinar. They say, Jay, you were right. I'm pissed off at you, man. I'm upset at you because you did not warn me about not being able to sleep after the webinar. So they all called me and they confessed that they could not sleep, either because they were too excited, their mind was spinning, or they just got right to work on the stuff that we talked about in the webinar, which is how to find people. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've been in this business now since 1991, and I'll just share my story very, very briefly because we want to hop right into the stuff that I've got tonight, which is rich in content. And by the way, a lot of my story, guys, I don't mean to be brief for those of you that are on the webinar tonight for the first time, but I'm easily found online. You can go to my YouTube channel, Survive to Thrive, and you could probably hear a little bit of my story and some of the other recordings and so on, or you could just find me on the internet, and there's all sorts of clips and all sorts of things you can go find and kind of get my story. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, other than to say that I've been in this business now, this industry now, for the better part of in fact, June 1st will make my 25th year anniversary that I first saw that I actually joined an opportunity, and after fighting with it for 6 months, after seeing it for 6 months, I didn't make a decision right away to get involved because of personal reasons. I just couldn't focus. But once I got focused, I made my official move in June of 1992, and I looked at the business in 1991. 1992 is when I officially joined. I was a ripe old 22-year-old guy, and I had hair back then, loop earrings. I was bouncing at the clubs. I'm from New York, so what else do you do if you're a bodybuilder and you're looking for income? You bounce at the clubs, right? So that's what I was doing. My graduate degree was my undergraduate was in social services, so I was doing a little bit of social work. I was also moonlighting as a personal trainer. I was moonlighting as a real estate agent. So I was doing just about anything you can consider and can conceive to make extra income. And along came someone invited me to a presentation. And I had no idea what I was going to look at. I thought, in fact, the person who invited me to the presentation was the real estate broker that I was working for at the time in the Bronx. And so I figured, okay, he invited me to meet him at the office at 7 o'clock at night. I thought it was kind of strange, an evening meeting. I thought, okay. I figured I was going to go take a look at a real estate property with him. And he sticks me in the car, and we drive for about 30 minutes to another part of New York. And he doesn't say much about where we're going. I just figured it was real estate. He puts me in a meeting. He brings me to an office, puts me in a meeting, says, you sit over there. I'm going to go to the other room. I found that kind of strange. I say, why is he sticking me in this room? He's going to the other room. Lo and behold, later on did I find out that's the way the system works. And then I got a chance to see a presentation, which 95% of the presentation I had no clue what they were talking about, because the business in the industry that I'm in is a financial industry. So I didn't have any wherewithal, any experience. I didn't have anything. I had a lot of debt, double earrings, and I owed people money. So when they were talking about teaching other people about money in my industry, I thought to myself, they're nuts. I don't know why my friend invited me here, because I don't have any money to put away. I don't know anything about money. I have a tremendous amount of debt. And the people that I know, most of them I owe money to. So I'm not sure why he invited me. It wasn't until the very end of that presentation when the guy said something that I'll never forget. The closing speaker said something that I'll never forget. And it brings me really full circle to tonight's webinar. When he said, if you help our company grow by helping us find good people, we'll pay you. And I heard nothing else but that. And I'll be honest with you, I heard nothing else but that. I have no idea what they were talking about and what all the financial concepts. All I heard at the very end, the guy said, if you could help us find some people to help expand our company, we'll pay you. And they could be better than you. That's what he went on to say. He said, they could be better than you. You know, I looked around the meeting that night, and there was people in that room in suits and ties, and I came in with the jeans and, you know, as a working out bodybuilder, you know, if any of you guys on a webinar, and whether you're listening to it tonight live or in the recording in the future, you know how it is. If you work out a little bit, if you feel good about the way you look, you know, you wear the tight shirts, right? You want to show up the bod. So that's what I had. In a business meeting, I'm wearing a tight workout shirt and jeans and 2 loop earrings. And they're talking about money and finance. So I looked around the room and I said, you know what, I may not be the kind of person who can fit this model here, this industry, but all these sharp people in this room with suits, I bet you I could find a few of those. And if they're going to pay me to bring some people like that to the next presentation, I could do that. And that began my interest in an industry, in the business that required finding people to show them what you do. Now, it wasn't until I came back to the second meeting, and the second meeting literally was 2 days later. At that time, in those days, we used to hold business opportunity meetings Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday mornings, Tuesdays and Thursday evenings and Saturday mornings. So, boy, did we get real good at finding prospects? You bet. Real good at recruiting? You bet. That's why I'm an absolute authority on the subject, because not only have I lived and breathed it, it's all I was trained on for the first 2 years of getting involved in this business. And I'll share a funny story in a minute or two regarding that. But I came back to the meeting 2 days later with 4 of my friends. Now, I went to Pace University. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, about finding people and one of the avenues of why that's a very good source. Not my particular university, but we'll talk about your university. So I went back to my college buddies who I just graduated from the almost a year earlier, and they were all business guys. These guys were all guys who had graduated. If any one of you know, a business, Pace University is all about. It's a business school. It's mainly for those who are graduating with degrees in finance, economics, accounting. I was the only dum-dum that went there for psychology, right? But I graduated psychology and sociology in a business school, so that tells you how smart I am. But it paid off for me. We're going to talk about that in a little while, about the psychology of finding people, psychology of communication, and why that's made me a boatload of money. Probably more money than, in fact, not probably, I know for a fact, more money than the guys who I went to school with. But I brought those 4 guys to the meeting the next Thursday night, the next time we had a presentation, and I was all fired up, man. I was fired up. I had 4 guys in that meeting, all business guys, and they had the suits on. And this time I wore a shirt. I didn't wear a tight shirt, but I wore a business shirt. And they had my guys were wearing suits. They were fitting the profile. I was profiling back then. I didn't even know it. So I was so fired up because these 4 guys, these are my college buddies, man. They're going to join the business, and I'm going to make money. And I tell you what, they presented that presentation again, and I sat there. And it's interesting. I caught a lot of the stuff I missed the first time. I caught some of the stuff about what the company does and the goodness of the company. And let me share some with you guys who are building a business here who haven't reached a level of mastery yet. Sometimes your prospects won't get it the first time. Sometimes they won't get it a second time. So you can't count them out just because somebody decides that they're not interested right away or they're not sure. Give them a chance to look at it again. Give them a chance to see it 2 or 3 times. Here's the reason why. You may be ready for them to join, but they may not be. And it's not that they don't want to join or have an interest in joining, but while that presentation is playing or while you're doing your one-on-one presentation with that prospect, they may be dealing with challenges in their lives that you know nothing about. They may be going through some things that is not allowing them to really fully engage in what's being covered and what's being shared. So they go and they listen half-heartedly and sort of with one ear open and one ear closed and half the brain on one thing, half the brain on the other. And so they don't really give their full attention. I'm a byproduct of that. I sat in that meeting in that first time, and I just didn't know. I just was focused on other stuff. I was wondering why I was there. The second meeting was a very different meeting. I got a flavor for what the company was doing, and I got excited about it because I realized, hey, people do need to know the stuff that the company does. And whatever company that you're on a webinar tonight, whatever you do, guess what? People may recognize the second time around the goodness of what the service is, the goodness of what you provide. It may not click the first or second time. Don't disqualify them because it doesn't. You'd make a big mistake. If the guy who brought me to the meeting the first time, when I didn't join immediately, I just came back to test to see if it was true about bringing people. If he had said to me, well, don't worry about it, on the way back home, when he said, what did I think? And I said, I don't know. I said, I don't really understand much, but I think I might be able to get a few people. If he had said to me, well, then, maybe give it some time, think it over, come back and speak. Or if he hadn't told me, well, let's get back together, let's go Thursday and bring some people with you and get their opinion on it, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I'm glad that he did. I'm glad I had a chance to check it out the second time. I sat in that meeting, and I was fired up because I had my 4 buddies, my 4 college roommates were sitting next to me. These guys were economic guys, finance guys, accounting guys, and I was jacked up. I thought for sure I was going to be rich. I mean, I started counting my money. I started planning my vacations. I started planning where I was going. I started thinking about where I was going to invest my money and what kind of gym I was going to go to and what kind of gym I was going to buy. I mean, I was counting the money. Because for sure, my 4 friends were business guys would join. Well, I think you guys can figure out the rest of that story, right? None of them joined. Not one of them got involved. And they were part of my list. I started to make my list, right? The guy said, make a list and invite some people. I didn't have a very big list. In fact, most companies, most opportunities, I know in ours, there's something called a top 25 list. And I didn't have a 25 list. I had a top 7. And 2 of those people didn't even like me. But I knew them, so I put them on the list. I figured, what the hell? 4 out of those 5, I did get to the presentation, though. They did it as a favor. None of them joined, so now I was up Poopy's Creek, right? I was up the creek with a paddle. Either I was going to get good or I was going to get gone. And that second meeting reiterated to me when they went through that presentation and our last speaker spoke, and he said, if you bring us people who are better than you, and I looked at those 4 guys and I said, these guys are definitely better than me. And if they go on to make money, you'll make money. If they go on to make over $100,000 a year, you'll make about $35,000 off each one. That's all I heard. I thought for sure I was going to make 6 figures and I was going to be riding the gravy train. But that second meeting emphasized to me one thing. It emphasized to me that I believed in what the company was doing. I got behind the mission. I got behind the cause. But it also emphasized that if those 4 guys were not going to do it, that, boy, there were millions of other people out there that would. And if I was going to be able to build a volunteer army, and if I really believe that leveraging your time and your energy through the efforts of others is a way to create multiple streams of income, because every person you recruit, right, is a stream of income. Isn't that true? Every person that joins your company is a stream of income. So the question becomes, how many multiple streams of income that I want to have? And I looked at my life at that moment, and I said, I'm a social worker, and I do good work, but social workers will make a lot of money. And there's no way I could ever continue to do social work, personal training, real estate, and think I was going to have a life. I said I had to figure out a way to make this work, and if that meant I had to get very creative, very clever, put some straps on, and get out there and find new prospects and find ways to meet people and get them involved and get them to look and have them engage in what I was doing, then If that's what I had to learn how to do, if that's what I had to become a master of, then that's what I had to do. That's what I had to become a master of, because the opportunity was too good not to. Now, I know many of you are working with our firm, but I know many of you aren't. It don't matter. Whatever you do, whatever you decided, for whatever reason you decided to get involved, you decided it was worth getting involved. You decided it was something that was going to be important for you to do. So if you decided to, then get good at it. Do what you need to do to get great at it. Get to the level of mastery. Stop hanging out in the baby pen, being a novice, and get your ass up there to mastery so you can really get out of this thing what you decided to join in the first place for. Now, I told you earlier, I gave you a fair warning, people. This is going to be a meeting of stuff, no fluff. Now, that's going to be a little too tough. Then I would encourage you to don't listen. But I know many of you are on the webinar tonight because you want to get better. And specifically get better. There's many areas to get better at. There's many areas in our business for you to get good at, for you to become a master of. But the most important part of it, regardless of what business you're in, is finding people. And you have to know that there is an artistry to finding people, and you have to become a master at it. So what I want to talk about is the art of finding people. That's why we're on the webinar tonight, and we're going to talk about that. But I want to encourage you to understand that finding people, the art of finding people, is a training that has to be a part of your, let's just say, starting over. And why don't we consider that for the next 45 minutes or so, guys? Why don't we consider for the next 45 minutes or so that you are either reinventing yourself or reinvigorating yourself or regenerating yourself. I want you to come to the table right now with a clean slate, as if you're starting off brand new, because the reality is, if you're on this webinar tonight, is because you have to start from scratch to some degree. And I know I've had a chance to speak with many of you, and you are on this webinar tonight because you are at a novice level still, and you want to get better, or maybe you're at a more of an advanced level, so to speak, but you want to get to the mastery level. That's fine. But why is this training a must for you then? Number one, here's the reason. There's a bunch of reasons. I'm going to give them to you. But here's the number one reason why you have to get good at this. Why finding people is something that you must do. Because the number one reason people quit this business is because they lose prospecting steam. They lose prospecting steam. And you know what I'm talking about. If you're in this business for 4 months, if you're in this business for 1 month, if you're in this business for 4 years, there are some of you who are on this webinar tonight been in business for 10 years. So you know that the reason why most people quit an opportunity where they got excited about in the beginning, the number one reason they quit has nothing to do with they don't believe in themselves, has nothing to do with negative friends. All that is a component of it. But I can tell you what, if you got a person who doesn't believe in themselves or is struggling with self-doubt or negative friends and negative family, I bet you if you took that person and you grandfathered them 100 brand new prospects, I bet you that person would feel a whole lot better about the opportunity, wouldn't he or wouldn't she? I bet you those negative friends and family would have nothing to do. They would have no persuasion over that person's actions. Those negative friends and family would not sway that person from quitting. That person can doubt himself until you give him 100 brand new prospects, 200 brand new prospects, 500 prospects. That person will be fired up. So the reason why people quit the business is because they lose prospecting steam. They run out of people. They run out of places to go. And that is very discouraging when you're brand new, and even if you're seasoned a little bit, it's discouraging. So that's why you have to go through this type of training. You have to become a master of finding people. The second reason is you have to make it your goal. Prospecting mastery should be your goal. It has to be what you strive to do every day to get better and better and better for a handful of reasons. One of those reasons is you cannot teach others what you don't do well yourself. I get cracked up. I crack up when I hear teachers and speakers and these so-called coaches writing books, speaking to groups about stuff that they've never done. You know what I'm talking about. These guys go out, and by the way, boy, have they fooled the public. But it just goes to show how hungry people are to make changes and how much hope plays a role in how some of these other guys can sell their stuff. I mean, it's just no other way to put it. You cannot teach what you don't do well. If you're building a business here and you're building an organization of like-minded professionals, if you're looking to build an organization of people that can get out there and build businesses independently, and as a result of that, your own personal cash flow, your business explodes, then you've got to be able to teach something to those people that you know how to do very well. I can teach our organization how to do the stuff that I do because I do it well. Now, is everyone going to become a master of it? Absolutely not. But does it matter if everyone doesn't, as long as a handful do? Right? As long as a handful do, you get a handful of people who can do what you do, know how to find people. Boy, you got the gravy train stopping at your station every single day. See, the master copy has to be worth copying. I've heard that phrase years and years and years ago, right? You have to become the master copy, master copy, master copy. And then I thought to myself, okay, so master copy is great. That means that I've got to become a master so I can be copied. If you're not a master, then what your people are copying are your own flaws. If you are being copied and you're a novice, they're going to copy novice skills. If you're struggling, they're going to copy someone who's struggling. But you could become a master and then have somebody copy you and develop mastery also. You guys get that? And by the way, here's another reason why this training is important for you. Because it's a cure for prospecting panic management. Now, I would bet to say that those that are live on the call tonight, or those that will hear this in the future as a recording, you have at some point or another experienced prospecting panic management. That means that you get up in the morning, you got nowhere to go, you got nobody to talk to, you got no fresh ideas on how to find people. You fall back to the same old bullshit of going to the mall, running around in the street, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But, man, with the sorts of new ways you can prospect and find people today, if you're still running around at the malls or job fairs, you're nuts. Or bugging the same people, same friends, and you get up every day and you get that sickening feeling at the pit of your stomach because you know you got a prospect, your meeting is coming up soon, and you got a meeting on Saturday, you got no guests, no people watching the videos, you got no parties, you got nothing happening, and you run into this panic. I would bet to say if I could see everybody's hands right now, by a show of hands, who's gone through that, I'd get everybody's hands up. Right? It's a cure for prospecting management, prospecting panic management. When you know how to find people and you've mastered that, man, you'll never have to worry about that cure again. That prospecting panic again, ever. Last reason is it's a confidence booster. I get up every day, and I don't have a concern about how I'm going to find people. In fact, my concern, and my wife will tell you, I get frustrated because my day goes so fast, and I still have so much more to go. I still have so many more avenues and opportunities to explore. I know some people in my business, they dread the day because they just wanted to get it over with because they got nothing happening. Well, when you become a master of the art of finding people, let me tell you what happens. You get up every morning knowing you're going to make something happen. You got this sense of confidence, almost this braggadocious air about you that you know I'm good. I'm going to find some people today. Today's my day to find some people. And those people don't know they're going to be found by Jay Maney. But I'm going to change their lives today, and they don't know it. See, that's confidence. That's a confidence booster. When you become a master of finding people, it's a master. It's a confidence booster. Now, we're going to spend a little bit of time in a few minutes on finding where to find just a handful of people. I'm going to show you in a little while how to even find more people. For the sake of time tonight, we only got a few minutes to cover this stuff, but I'll show you where to get some more and how to tap into some of the material that I have that will absolutely take it to the whole other level. But what's the key? Here's the key, guys. You must create your own prospecting playbook. Now, I want to take a minute or two on this one because this is important. See, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the stuff I want to show you on where you find people, you got to get all this other stuff down first. I mean, that's like trying to show up to play a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game or go to the gym or run on the track and not warming up, not stretching, not hydrating. You're going to die. You get on that football field, you get on that basketball court, you get on that track, you try to go swim without stretching, warming up, hydrating, man, you're not going to get very far. You're going to have a crappy workout. So this stuff that we're talking about is the warm-up before showtime. Does that make sense? You have to create your own personal prospecting playbook. What does that mean? That means it's a set of plays. The J. Mamie definition of a prospecting playbook is it's a set number of creative prospecting plays that work often enough that you can confidently count on them to produce results. You can count on them to produce results. Now, when I'm having conversations with our own group, I always ask a person, so show me your prospecting playbook. Where is it? Or what's your prospecting play? Give me your top 3 prospecting plays. And they don't even know what I'm talking about. Now, this is the brand newer people until they get into the training. Or when I have conversations with people from other companies, I have conversations with people all the time. And how do I diagnose them? I ask them, give me your top 3 prospecting plays. And you know what I get? I usually get 2. And they're lame-ass prospecting plays, which is why they don't have much going on. They keep running the same old bullshit plays that don't work. Talking to friends, talking to family, at the mall, crap like that. If you're running on 2 or 3 prospecting plays, you're never going to make this thing work. You're going to get frustrated. You need a prospecting playbook. What's a prospecting playbook? Just envision the Bill Belichick, New England Patriots head coach, right? I like the Patriots, by the way. Don't hate me on that, but I like the Patriots. I also like the Giants, too. So let's just say either one of those head coaches from those 2 football teams, they show up on Sunday. Big game day, right? Game day, the stadium is filled with people. Everybody's excited about the big game. And those head coaches, after a week of training, and the football players all jacked up, and they've gone through their techniques throughout the week, and the coaches show up. Belichick shows up, or the Giant coach shows up. He's got a nice playbook, looks pretty, logo on the front, and he's got 4 plays. 4 plays, 2 running plays, 2 pass plays. How far is that team going to go? How far is the Patriots going to go? Listen, if you're a coach and you show up with 4 plays, you might as well not even play the game. Because after a while, not only is the other team going to know what you're running, but you run out of options that work. And if 2 out of those 4 plays aren't working that well, you're doomed. Well, that's what I mean about a prospecting playbook. You have to have a prospecting playbook, a playbook that is loaded with daily prospecting plays that you know when you get up in the morning, I'm running play 2, I'm running play 4, I'm running number 7, and number 8. Or I'm going to run prospecting play number 1. I'm going to run this particular technique for this next week, see how it works out. And then I'll look back and see if it worked. If it doesn't work, next week I'm running prospecting play number 2. Or maybe I'll mix it up during the week. See, if you've got your own creative prospecting playbook, you could do that. You could do that. And you won't get up every day with any sense of prospecting panic management because you've got your playbook. Now, what I'm going to show you tonight is how to create a playbook with just a handful of ideas. But I've got tons of them. But they don't work if you don't do them. And they certainly won't work if you don't even create them in your own prospecting playbook. Every person on our team, in our organization, if they're serious about the business, they have their prospecting playbook. We don't have a challenge prospecting, but you have to have a prospecting playbook. And here's the why. Here's the reason, guys. you cannot wing the most important part of this business. You cannot wing it. It doesn't matter what company you're with, what organization you're with. You can't wing it. I've got some folks tonight that are from the real estate industry. I got some folks on tonight that are from some other sales organizations. It's the same thing. You can't wing it. The most important part of a business, you think you'll have success by winging it? Good luck with that. Many of you right now, tonight, are winging it, and you know it. No good. So now that we've got that fundamental understanding, let's go to the next one, because it comes with a warning. Here's a warning, guys. You must be or quickly becoming an effective communicator. Why is this important? Before I get into the next level, why is this important? Because I'm going to show you some killer-ass stuff now, guys. I'm going to show you some stuff that is going to knock your socks off. In fact, if you have socks on your feet right now, you might as well just take them off. Unless you're in a group and it's going to offend people because of your feet may not be fresh, right? If your feet is going to smell up the room, keep your socks on. So you might as well, if it's not, take those socks off right now, because in a few minutes, I'm knocking your socks off. Okay? But you have to be aware that with this is going to come a warning. Here's the warning. You have to know what to say to people. See, I can show you how to find people, but then you have to know what to say. You have to have the right words, the phraseology, the email content. You have to know how to be an effective communicator in order to fascinate someone, in order to intrigue someone, in order to lead someone to action. Let me give you the two biggest dilemmas, the two biggest deficiencies, what I call skill set deficiencies, that the majority of people in this business, in this industry, in this business model, in the people development, in the recruiting and development business, which we're all in, let me tell you the biggest two deficiencies that exist, which are absolutely deadly for a brand new person, and you as a leader, if you aspire to be one or if you are one, is what you've got to be mindful of. Number one, people who are lousy in prospecting. That's a big one. But number two was worse, being able to find people, being able to have a great prospecting playbook, knowing how to find and where people are, and then being absolutely horrendous at communicating to people. Not knowing what to say. It's the second biggest reason why people who are brand new or somewhat brand new struggle. They just feel awkward. They're uncomfortable with their own words. They don't really know how to say something that'll fascinate that prospect, that'll intrigue that prospect, that's going to lead that prospect to give it a try, to show up to the meeting, to watch the video, to test the product or whatever. They have very poor communication skills, not communication skills in general, speaking to friends and so on, but in terms of expressing the opportunity in the best terms. They struggle. And let me tell you something. Conversation is not communication. That you got to write down. Conversation is not communication. You could be a good conversationalist, be a good social conversationalist. You can have great conversations with people, great conversations with prospects, even prospects. You can have great conversations with them, but it doesn't mean you're effectively communicating. You're just having a conversation. Effective communication is when you have a message that you deliver that fascinates, intrigues, and leads that person to take action. That's communication. Everything else is conversation. And don't mistake either one of them. Don't mistake them to be the same. Very important. One of the things we're going to talk about in a little bit is the words. Once you find people, how do you get the words? I've created an entire training series that all works together, guys. Finding people and knowing the words. Finding people and knowing the words. Very, very important. You can get number one right, get number two wrong, and you're really no better off than you were before you found those people. And that's a fact. All right. So now, let's get to some good stuff here, folks. Let's get to some good stuff. I want to share with you because I only have time to show 6, and you'll see why. We're just going to run out of time. There's tons of ways to find people. I'm going to show you 6 that are very, very effective. Oh, I got a misspelling on that one. It's supposed to be myopportunity.com. There's a spelling error. Sorry about that. I will acknowledge that error on my part. But we're going to talk about myopportunity.com. We're going to talk about LinkedIn. We're going to spend some time on alumni directory. We're going to talk about bridal shows. That has to do with creative prospecting with timing. We're going to talk about join a team and tax professionals. Guys, that's 6 of about 35 prospecting gems that I've created over the last 2 decades that I know work. Imagine having 35 plays in your prospecting playbook. That's what I'm talking about. The reality is you probably will only be able to effectively do 8, 9, or 10. And if 8, 9, or 10, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7 are working well, then that's your sweet spot. You hang out there. But it's nice to have a bunch more to not only share with your organization if you're building a team, but to have fun and spread your wings a little bit and sort of look at other ways that you can get creative and have fun in finding people. I love it. So we're going to talk about myopportunity.com. We're going to talk about LinkedIn. We're going to talk about alumni directory, bridal shows, join a team, and tax professionals. Now, guys, I need to stress this. There's a lot of content that I'm going to fly through right now. Tons of content. We probably will not be able to wrap up this meeting. I like to keep our meetings to about an hour and 15 minutes, but we'll probably will go for another 45 till 10:30 my time. I hope that's okay with everyone. But even that really is not going to do much damage to what we're going to cover with these particular prospecting gems. I'll say this to you. Do not fret. I'm going to show you in the end how you can go back, not only watch this video again, because I'm going to post it on YouTube anyway at my channel. In fact, if you aren't subscribed to my channel on YouTube, you're crazy. You need to subscribe to my channel on YouTube because all of my webinars that I do, I just post them back up there anyway. So you get a chance to see it again. But for those that are looking to take it to the next level, I'll show you where you can get at my website some of this stuff immediately and start to crank it out immediately with great degree of detail, okay? And we'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to take a few minutes to talk about, actually, I'm going to start with LinkedIn. Let me get out of here, and let's go to LinkedIn, because I really believe that most people are not using LinkedIn in a way that is very effective to them. Now, I also want to say that the challenge of the novice prospector, the novice person who's trying to find people for their business, aren't really understanding the power that's within their grasp with a lot of these social sites, a lot of these media sites. And you are making life a lot harder on yourself than you need to. Let me just repeat that. You are making your prospecting life a lot harder on yourself than you need to. You will see what I mean in a minute. How would you like to have people come to you? How would you like to have people come to you or find people that are looking for you? See, if you're in the business for a little while or a long time, you know that the probably one of the most anxious or ugly part of the business is trying to figure out who really is interested, who would be interested, who do I talk to that would have an interest in what I do, and how do you even know these people? How do you know these people would have an interest? And when you start to kind of consider the probability of finding people on an ongoing, consistent basis that are looking for opportunities, that would be open to a discussion with you, when you consider the probability of that on a daily basis to be very low in the old-fashioned ways, it can be very discouraging. But what if I showed you through LinkedIn and my opportunity how to find people that are looking for you. Now that's a game changer. That changes everything. And it doesn't matter what industry or what business that you're in. It works the same. You just tweak the wording to attract that person to what you do. So let me first start by saying this. If you're not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn and create a profile. If you're on LinkedIn, if you have a lousy profile, what I'm going to show you is not going to work for you. It's not going to work as well. Now, what's a lousy profile? Let me give you the 3 things, and I want you to write this down, that makes a lousy profile. And if I have time, maybe I'll search a few here so you can see examples, although I probably shouldn't do that. But here's what people consider a good profile. Let's actually start in that direction. A good profile has 3 things. And by the way, a good profile is what will cause somebody to connect with you. That's important. For what I'm going to show you, it's important that you have a profile that is attractive enough that people will want to connect with you. If they do not want to connect with you or accept your connection invitation, then this will not work for you as well as it does. So how does your profile become attractive enough? It has to have 3 things. You have to have a profile that appears that you are sane, S-A-N-E, that you are safe, and that you're not a solicitor. I call it the 3 S's. Sane, safe, and not a solicitor. Does that make sense? People look at your profile, and the first thing they want to see is this person sane. In other words, do I want to connect with somebody who's got a wacky look on, who's got a crazy-looking picture, who is someone that probably is not put together? I mean, after all, LinkedIn is a business social site, right? So why would anybody post a picture of something that is retardedly stupid? And I don't mean to use those words in a negative way. You guys know what I mean. Why would you post a picture that is odd or not professional or not attractive? I don't mean in terms of looks. I mean in terms of appeal. It causes suspicion in the mind of the person that is looking at your profile, considering whether they want to connect or not. Don't handicap yourself that way. Don't create a disadvantage just by your picture. Your picture has to be the picture of somebody that looks sane, not weird. Secondly, it has to be safe. What does safe mean? Safe means is somebody that is has value to them, that there's a good vibe to connect with, someone that is going to have a good rapport, a good connection to have, someone that is not going to detract from their circle of connections, if you can follow what I mean. Somebody that is safe, that is not going to sort of give a strange feeling of connection. Believe it or not, people will look at your picture and they'll look at what you write in your profile, and if it's a little bit weird or off, they won't connect with you. So what you put in your profile has to be sound. It has to be appealing. It has to be normal. So sane, safe, and non-solicitory. If people think that you're connecting with them because you want to sell something, in other words, if you do like I see a lot of crazy people do on LinkedIn, they just start soliciting their services and their products and who they are, and they could do this, they could do that, and blah, blah, blah. I don't connect with those people sometimes because I know the minute I connect with them, I'm going to get a solicitation. It's the only reason why they're inviting me to connect. If somebody's inviting you to connect and you really have no reason to connect, they're going to question, well, why is this person connecting? The minute they smell that you're trying to solicit or a solicitation is coming, that might be the very thing that stops them from hitting yes to connect. And that person that you could have connected with may have been your next big lead, your next big prospect. You don't know. So why take a chance? So your profile has to be sane, safe, and non-solicitory. If you need help with that, you can certainly go to 2 things. You can go to my profile and just copy what I write If it's appropriate to what you're doing, just copy it. It's nice, safe, sane, value, right? Nice. Connect. Copy it. Or in one of my books, I talk about how to have a quality profile. How to have a quality profile. Okay? Look, I got an all-star profile. 352 people have viewed me. I think this is probably in the last month or so, maybe something like that. I'm not even sure. But certainly this has been the last couple of weeks. That's pretty good. Right? I need to get that up a little bit more. So you have to have the same safe profile. Why? Here's why. By the way, let me just come over here real quick because I'm getting text messages. Let me show everyone where all this material is. I spoke about it a little while ago. Let me just stop here for a second, show you this so that you know where this is coming from, and we will circle back to this. This is my site, Survive to Thrive Guide. The Survive to Thrive Guide, I created it a few years ago, really with the intent to use it as a training resource for our organization. But then it got out to everyone else's organization and multiple different businesses and whatever, and other teams, and then it got into the non-network marketing world, and so it's taken on a life of its own. But I wrote a series of books that created a sense of installment training, what I call installment training, a step-by-step developing from novice to master. Because you can't just jump in and start mastery training without going through novice, and vice versa. You have to take it step by step. This is my thought pattern for our organization. So I wrote the first book called Survive to Thrive. It is a big, big hit. In this book, I talk about how do you survive the business when it's the first year, and what are the landmines in order to survive the business in your first couple of months. Chapter 4 of this book is called Master the Words. In the presentation earlier, I talked about knowing the words. Well, Chapter 4, I dedicate the entire book on mastering the words. And many of the people who reviewed the book have said that Chapter 4 is really worth the entire read. And I would have to agree to that. But I get into the landmines. Now, if you're a leader or plan on being a leader, then this is the kind of material that you need to hand into every single person who joins your business. Why? Because if you can help them, avoid the landmines that they're going to experience anyway, and they're going to experience these landmines while you're not looking. They're going to have the difficulties behind your back. And if you don't prep them and help them, they won't survive the business to even thrive in the business. And your job as a leader is to make sure that you create a foundation, a safe haven, where new people can get through the business the first 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months so that they can begin to thrive. That's your job as a leader. So I wrote that first book, Entry Level. And then I decided to write the next book, which is what we're talking about now, the Prospecting Survival Guide. Why? Because I wanted people, once they got past that sticking point, that part of, okay, I'm running out of prospects, I'm losing prospecting steam, I didn't want folks in our organization to struggle with, okay, so what do I do next? I didn't want that. Knowing ahead of time, that's the reason why people quit. I created a book called the Prospecting Survival Guide. So now you can get, you can create that confidence that I know how to find people. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about tonight is from the book, the Survival Guide. However, some of the stuff I am going to talk about now is coming up in the second volume, so you guys are getting a very early look at the second volume, Prospecting Survival Guide, Volume 2. Volume 1 has 22 different ways to find people, guys. 22 different ways to find people. One of them is LinkedIn, which we're going to talk about now again. Okay. By the way, Volume 2 has another 12 ways, but a very strategic, creative prospecting, higher level stuff, psychology stuff on finding people. I'll share that with you in a few minutes on how we're doing that. Okay. Back to LinkedIn. So, by the way, here in this chapter, everything I'm going to give a trailer version on now, it's in this chapter, including how to create a profile that's attractive, how to create right wording, subliminal wording that attracts someone immediately. Okay, there's an art to that tapping into my sales and psychology background I spoke about way earlier on the call. Okay, so now, first thing, see this here? This becomes your best friend. Now, I want you guys to write quick now. This becomes your best friend. The search bar is my best. I want you to write that down. The search bar is my best friend. Whatever you put in the search bar, it will find for you. So aren't we looking for people who are looking for opportunity? Isn't that what I just said a few minutes ago? So why not use LinkedIn as a way to help bring people to you that are looking for opportunity? How do you do that? Well, the search bar is your best friend. If you type in here, seeking new opportunity, LinkedIn says, hey, there's 272,000 people that have put on their profile that they're seeking new opportunity. Let me just repeat that. 272,000 people, based on the wording or the phrase that I input, which you'll see how we change the phraseology, change the phrase, change the word, it changes the search results. Now, I got to tell you something. You got to be kidding me. What are the chances of you finding 272,000 people across the country that have openly declared for everyone to see that, hey, I am seeking a new opportunity? Now, it may not be your opportunity. It may not be my opportunity. But that's for me to find out later, isn't it? I just want to find people. Now, can somebody say awesome, please? Yes, I hear those words. Now, let's just change this here. Seeking new opportunity. Let's move this back here, and let's just change it. Seeking new opportunities. What happens to the search? 474,000 people. By the way, that's on top of the 272,000, just because we went plural on opportunity. Now, I don't know about you, but if your socks aren't off, they're about to come off. I bet to say your socks are off already. 474,000 people? Are you kidding me? People, look at this. Seeking new opportunities, and on and on and on. Look at them all. They're waiting for you and I to call them, to connect with them, to send them a message. Now, remember what I said earlier, guys. You have to know the words in the email content in order to attract them. That's why I said earlier, it's a 1-2 punch. Finding and communicating. You have to have both. And I just got a text message. All right, so here's where you get the... Guys, I wrote all the wording out already. I'm getting people texting me, where do you get the words? Here's where you get the words. You guys are way ahead of me. I already put all the words in PDF. In other words, what I did was, in the mindset of a leader, I said, I do not want our people, our organization, folks in my company, to fall through the cracks, to do step 1 right, but miss on step 2. I didn't want to take any chances. A good leader never does, never leaves anything to chance. So I created the scripting, the wording, in the next 2 PDF files. Advanced prospecting strategies. The addendum. The addendum, by the way, is a copied and pasted word for word conversations back and forth. I think I did about 32 of them in here, where if you follow the psychology of the back and forth conversations with folks that I prospect on LinkedIn, you can see the wording, the psychology, how I overcome objections, how I circumvent concerns and get them fascinated to look. And a lot of these people have joined our business. I already have it. You don't have to get creative with it. You can just download it and use it. I'm going to talk a little bit later on how to do that. By the way, in my volume 2, I'll show you what I'm calling gold. It has a lot to do with the newer tech content that I'm sending out on LinkedIn that is also now, after trying and testing it for about a year, is also producing excellent results because of the wording behind the connection. So you can connect with somebody But then you have to know what to say. And guys, I know I said earlier, I'm going to go through this rather quickly, but I've got training on this that you can go into that's detailed. This is just to give you an understanding that there's an art to finding people, and here's one right here. Let me give you another. Let me give you another. Let's say that you went to a school, University of Florida. I'm sure there's some of you that are from Florida, so let's just say University of Florida. Now, here's a question a lot of you are going to ask. I only went to University of Florida for a semester. So what? What happens if I only went to university for a week or a community school for one class or whatever? It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. It only matters that you went to the university or the college or the high school in your LinkedIn profile, which is why I said earlier, your profile has to be done very well. It has to be attractive. I get into all that in the book, by the way. But if you don't post that you have attended a particular college, you will not be able to do this. You just won't be able to do this. Okay? But let's say you put the University of Florida. Let's say you went to the University of Florida. It says University of Florida, there's 1,000 people, there's actually more, but there's 1,000 people, if I just put University of Florida, that have the University of Florida in their profile. Let's go back here, and let's just say this one. Hold on to your hats, people. Hold on to your socks. Here's the University of Florida Facebook, LinkedIn page. Again, use any school that you went to. And by the way, if you didn't go to university or college or any secondary school or whatever, use your spouse's school. It doesn't matter, guys. Set up a profile under your spouse or your husband or whatever, or your brother. It doesn't matter. Get creative here. So now, here's what we have. We've got 270,000 people are on LinkedIn that are also alumni of the University of Florida. So if you went to this school, you've got a gold mine of prospects right underneath your nose. By the way, in my Survive to Thrive book, one of the chapters I talk about is effective communicating. I talk about common ground of conversation. If you want to get good at communication with a brand new prospect, you have to find what I call a common ground of conversation. In other words, what's a common ground? If you go to the gym, what's a common ground conversation at the gym? The gym. The workouts, the machines, the drinks, the people, the hours, the music's too loud. All of that is a common ground for conversation. If you're a parent and you're part of the PTA, what's a common ground of conversation with a parent you don't know? The school schedule, the lunches, the days off, the kids, on and on and on. A common ground of conversation gives you access to speaking to someone using that common ground as a starting point. Does that make sense to you? Well, that's all in this book, by the way. Over here, what's your common ground? University of Florida. Now, let's take a look at who these people are. See alumni. Now, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to the old page. That's the new version of LinkedIn. I like the old version of LinkedIn. 270,000 people. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. That's just way too many people, isn't it? There's just no way that you can effectively prospect 270,000 people. I mean, you can, but you won't have a life. So you have to filter this into what I call sharp shooting prospecting. Sharp shooting prospecting. Here's how you do it. You go down here and you open up the filters. Now, I'd bet to say that the majority of you on the webinar don't even know that this is available. You're probably shaking your heads right now, thinking to yourselves, number one, I need to get on LinkedIn. And number two, I am on LinkedIn, and I had no clue this was available. You see how you've made prospecting so much harder on yourself? You see why this webinar is so important? Here's how you work this. I want to find out where they live. Well, if I'm in New York, I'm really only interested right now for the time being in those that are in my area. Why? Proximity. So now I've got 10,000. That kind of winds it down a little bit, right? Now my second filter, to continue to dwindle this number down to something that's palatable, is I'm not concerned where they work, so that's not really important. But I am concerned or interested in what they do. So I want to find people that do similar things to what I do. Now, whatever industry you're in, find people that would have a reason to connect with you based on the industry that you're in. But I got to say, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what business you're in right now, what opportunity you're a part of, because it all falls into the same category, right? We're all trying to attract the same people, people that are entrepreneurs, in sales, in business, in education, healthcare, finance, that's our industry, marketing. But you can find whatever one looks close related to you, legal, consulting, accounting, real estate, military. Now, what does that do to my search? Now it's got narrowed it down to 5,400, still a ton of people. I want to narrow it down to fish in a barrel. I want to find fish in a barrel. So now we go here. See this little arrow? Watch this. Now it takes you to 3 more filters. What they studied. That's interesting. I want to find people that studied topics that are very closely related to the business that I'm in. Why? Common ground of connection. Common ground of conversation. So business, finance, marketing. Hey, do whatever one that, if you're in healthcare, do healthcare. If you're in communication, do communications. Accounting, economics, pharmacy, for those of you that are in opportunities that involve healthcare and so on, there you go. Biology, there you go. Chemistry, there you go. Medicine, there you go. So for me, none of these makes any sense for me and my business and what I do, or business does, actually. That's about it. But now I've narrowed it down to 1,400. Those fish are getting nice and primed in that barrel. But now, here's the goodie. What they said, what these people on LinkedIn said that they're good at, that they're skilled at. I want people that said that they're skilled at management, marketing. Look at that, leadership, sales. These are people that said, hey, I am good at sales. I'm good at marketing. I'm good at business. I'm good at public speaking. I'm good at planning events. I'm good at finance. I'm good at accounting. I mean, I don't care what industry you're in. These are the kind of people that you would want. These are the kind of people that you would want. So what does that do now? Hey, 978. I got 978 fish in the barrel, and that's just choosing New York. If I opened it up to the United States, I'd have tens of thousands, just to give you an example. And here they are. Here they are, ready to have a connection made. Now, I wouldn't connect with them because I didn't go to the University of Florida. I'm only showing you this as an example. You pick the university that you went to and go crazy searching and connecting. And when you connect, they're going to ask you, how do you know each other? Oh, you could put classmate, and it'll show up University of Florida if that's in your profile. Obviously, it's not in mine. Does that make sense to everyone? So I just showed you 3 ways here, just 3 little old ways. 3 little ways that utilizing the LinkedIn search bar, which is your best friend, you can find massive amounts of people. Massive amounts of people right here. Okay? Now, I'll give you one more, and then we'll close to the next one. At-home mom. Why is this important? Well, you guys know very well in our business, in our industry, moms who are at home make great prospects. Why? Because our opportunities offer flexibility. They offer accommodation. They offer the opportunity to earn a great income without having to get back to a regular 9-to-5 job and sacrifice taking care of the most important people in the world. So if you go to At-Home Mom, there's 182,000 people who are identifying themselves as stay-at-home moms. By the way, these are great people who are doing great things, But if you were to ask any single one of them, how would you like to have an opportunity to generate an income from home with a great degree of flexibility and accommodation, with the ability to generate an income that can supplement your husband's or create a different lifestyle? I promise you, a bunch of them would say yes. There's two people on this page, and I won't point who they are because for privacy reasons. I connected with them. They joined our organization. They joined our organization. If you can't find people this way, you need to give it up. You just call it a day. But it gets better. Let's go to the next one. All right. I talked about in the PowerPoint, talked about my LinkedIn. Let's go to my opportunity. By the way, guys, the website is myopportunity.com. This is a website where you can register yourself as a hiring manager. Now, what's this website about? This website, as it says, My Opportunity. These are people that have registered for this site who have declared, I am looking for opportunity. And they even put their profiles in terms of what they are skilled at and the industries that they've worked in and what they're looking for. Look at this woman here. Job seeking, sales, business development, sales, 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 sales. Look at that. Sales. Right? Wonderful. Now, I created my profile based on the industry that I'm in, but you can create a profile and create filters so that My Opportunity can match you with people that are more catered for what you do. Because there's millions of people out there looking for all sorts of different opportunities. What might work for you may not work for us, and what works for us may not work for yours. That's just the way it is. So you can go to myopportunity.com and set yourself up as a profile, and you get leads every single day. My Opportunity matches up people that have signed up with them to your profile, and they say, hey, this guy here is a good guy. He matches up well with you. You should reach out to him. And guess what Jay Mamie does? He reaches out to them. But every day I get leads. I just got another 8 in the last 2 hours. When I checked a few hours ago, I didn't have any. I went through them already. I got 8 more that I need to check out and see who they are. And then send them the Jay Mamie Gold. Here it is. The Jay Mamie Gold. Hey, friend, after reviewing your profile, I'm interested to speak with you regarding entrepreneurial opportunities with our company. Our company has been spearheading financial literacy, education, and awareness for 3 decades. Due to expansion, the interest in meeting ambitious and visionary people has increased. If you're still keeping your options open for career experience, whether full-time, part-time, flexibility to one career, with the potential to change lives, then we should speak about our range of involvement possibilities. We have an excellent training program, leadership incentives, tremendous growth potential, and an outstanding compensation platform. It's worth a brief chat. You can't buy this anywhere. And what do you say? Hey, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm tied up. Interested in speaking. You're making life harder on yourself, guys. They're out there. You just got to know how to find them. That's what this whole webinar is about. Now, I know some of you are like, hey, how do I get my hands on this? That's part of my gold program. You'll be able to get this right away, okay? Wording is key. Knowing how to find them and what to say is key. Let's go to the next one real quick here. Alumni directory. Yippee, let's go here. I went to school here. I said that earlier. You know, you can get your hands on your own directory. Just contact where you went to school and ask them, hey, what organization do you use that offers the alumni directory? And they'll tell you. Most colleges, high schools today have the same service. And it's usually the same company that offers the same directory service. If not, it doesn't matter who the company is. Call up your college tomorrow, the alumni relations, and say, hey, guys, who do you use for your alumni directory? I'm interested in picking up the latest version. And they'll tell you. And you pay the $50, $60, and now you have this. A directory of, look at that. Look at that. It takes seconds. It literally has to take seconds to fill the entire directory. 151,000 prospects with a common ground of conversation. I'm an alumni. Hey, so-and-so, we're alumni. Just wanted to reach out to you. Our company's expanding. I saw you went to school for business. I graduated in 87. You graduated, I graduated in 92. You graduated in 87. So we might connect. Based on what you do, there could be a connection here. Great to work with alumni. Give me a call. Reach out to me. What if you could send 20 or 30 of those a day? By the way, you wouldn't have to, because some of these alumni, here's what they do. Some of these directories, if they're halfway decent, they actually can give you the person's information, where they work. They also give you the email. Try to find one that does. Some do, some don't. All right? There you go. There you go. There you go. Phone numbers. Make sure I get out of that real quick. So what's my point? Right underneath your nose. It's an art. Finding people is an art. Isn't this great stuff? Isn't this great stuff? Yes, it is. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting. All right, let's start putting this to a close here, people. I hope that you begin to understand that there's an art to this. Right? There's absolute art to this. Bridal shows, here's real quick on this one. Now's the time to start contacting bridal shows and bridal events. This is the wedding season coming up now in June and July, and then again in October, November. You have to find out in your local town who's having bridal shows. Contact the vendors or whoever is sponsoring the show. Let them know you'd like to set up a table. Who better to speak to about opportunity than people that are going to be spending a lot of money on a wedding coming up? Who better to speak to about extra income than those people who are looking at the cost of a wedding, which isn't cheap? So you have to have what I call creative timing in prospecting. In my Volume 2, Survival Prospecting Survival Guide Volume 2, I get into this. Join a team. What does that mean? Join a team. Right now, summer season, right? You've got summer season, which means that it allows you to find people that are playing softball, playing baseball. If you have children, get them involved in sports, and then be a coaching parent. It gives you access to other coaches, other parents, and the rosters. But if you don't have kids, join a local softball team. Join a bowling team, even if you don't bowl. Join a team. Have some fun, and begin to meet some people. You'll be happy that you did. And those people are right underneath your nose. One quick point on tax professional. Tax season is over. That means that these tax guys that are seasonal tax preparers are now looking for the next second income opportunity. You understand that seasonal tax preparers who work seasonally at the big franchises, H&R Blocks and Jackson Hewlett and so on, they're seasonal workers. They work on during tax season for extra income. Well, now tax season's over, so guess what they're looking for? To replace that lost source of second income. And they're very easy to find. Go back to LinkedIn and put in tax professionals, and you'll find hundreds of thousands of those guys as well. I'm hoping that you're beginning to see that there is tremendous ways to find people. Let me just make this one quick point, and we're going to come to a close here. I've got the Survival Guide Part 2, Volume 2, coming out in the next month, month and a half. I will make that available so that everyone can have access to another 12 sets of prospecting gems. One of the things I didn't get into tonight is how to create a Venus flytrap. How to create a Venus flytrap, meaning a people Venus flytrap, where you set, not a trap per se, but you make yourself so attractive that people come to you. They get into your circle. They get into your environment, and now it gives you a chance, like a Venus flytrap, to trap them in a good way. Right? You have to know how to do that, and that's called creative posting on LinkedIn, article dropping. There's all sorts of ways that you can have people connect with you, talk to you first, and then you can proceed and luring them in to fascination, intrigue, and leading them to action with effective communication, using word and phraseology. That's in the volume 2, but many of you don't even have volume 1, but that's coming up. I've got a modernized site coming out in about a month with jmamie.com and all sorts of videos and all sorts of hands-on stuff. That's free. You can log on to the site and you'll be able to get access to all of my training and video stuff. I've got Recruit You 2016. Let me actually get back to my site here so you can see where that came from. Last year, I did a Recruit You. 2 years ago, I did the first ever Recruit University. In 2015, it was a big, big hit. It was a sold-out event. We did 2 days, and it was sold out here in New York. It was attended by tons of organizations and lots of different teams, and it was just great. It was very generic. It was very universal. But I spent an entire day talking about psychology, role-playing, word, phraseology, soup to nuts. It was an entire day about recruiting. It had never been done before, an entire day. Well, I've got the whole thing on DVD, recorded on DVD. You can download the audio. You can actually, I'll be making the live video, the video streaming of it for download to replace these DVDs, which are a drag to continue to mail out. This Recruit You was the first in 2015. The Recruit You that I'm referring to now is the one we did the following year in October of 2016, which was based off a topic called Recruiting Mastery. And it was an awesome, awesome event. Let me get back to the site here. I'm getting text messages like crazy. Guys, I'm getting to this now. Guys, here's how all of this material can benefit you tremendously. I only covered about 5% of this stuff tonight, guys. Really, only 5%. And I think that 5% for all of you would be now at a point where you would say that stuff is killer. I need to get the other 95%. Well, I put it all available for anyone to get their hands on. And it's very generic, so it's not catering or tailored to any one company or another. These basic skill developments to go from novice to master, rather, are applicable to any opportunity. It doesn't matter. So here's what I did. I put together the entire installment from novice all the way through, and I'll show you one more that I'm going to get to now. Survive to Thrive, the book, the Prospecting Survival Guide with the 22 different prospecting, including the LinkedIn, the addendums, the scripting, the wording, not only for LinkedIn, but also for Facebook, which I didn't get a chance to get into Facebook, and how do you effectively prospect on Facebook. You know, it kills me when I see people trying to prospect on Facebook by posting stuff on their wall. It's a big mistake. Now, it's not a mistake to use Facebook. It's a mistake to use Facebook by posting on your wall. It's foolish. No one is ever going to get attracted to your posting about your meeting, your event, your product. It's ridiculous. But you can send private messages on Facebook, and that changes the ballgame. But again, it's knowing what to send in those private messages. It's knowing how to go to your high school or your college Facebook page, tracking down those Facebook friends at your home page for your high school and college and sending private messages to them. That's the key on how to use Facebook. Well, this book here, I have about 14 different conversations back and forth, 14 different content for Facebook. Awesome stuff, guys. So let me go here. All right, so here's where you can go. You go to Survive to Thrive. That's the site. Read through it. Look at it. Read the commentary and the testimonies from people. And since many of you have not started yet on any of the installments, let me encourage you. Don't piecemeal it. You can certainly take the books and pick them up as individual. By the way, as you can see, this stuff here is pennies on the dollar, right? I mean, $9, $12, right? So it's designed so that people can get some help at this. It's designed so that you can thrive in your business. Recruiting Mastery. I made this Recruiting Mastery available as a download here, PDF download, or you can go to Amazon and you can pick it up at Amazon on Kindle. You can start reading it either way immediately. So you drop the $9.99 and learn how to become a recruiting master. It is a phenomenal writing. The reviews have been phenomenal across the board on this writing because I took psychology to the next level. It's how do you get people to join? How do you close the prospect before the presentation begins? How do you get the objections out of the way early as opposed to waiting around for them to come in the end when you've wasted your time doing a presentation? We've all been there, right? That's just a waste of time. Well, Recruiting Mastery helps you prepave the presentation so you're way more effective in your closing of that brand new prospect. That's Recruiting Mastery. That's available at the site here, okay? So let me encourage you to do the following. You go to my Survive to Thrive site. You order the Recruit Training Package. You get everything in there for less than the cost of whatever it costs you to join your opportunity. But you get the meat and potatoes of how to find people, what to say to people. And I can promise you guys this. If you just follow 20% of the stuff that I get into, and obviously I think I've proven myself tonight already. If you just follow 20% of the stuff that I've talked about, just 20% of it, your recruiting numbers are going to explode these next 30 days. And it's not a maybe or can they, I'm not sure. It's proven, it works. That LinkedIn stuff I just showed you, that alone is going to fill your pipeline with prospects and new associates and client opportunities. Are you kidding me? So I recommend you pick up the Recruit Training Package, and then you come down here and you pick up the Recruiting Mastery, either PDF or download it on your Kindle, and start becoming a master. Leave the baby stuff behind and start becoming a master. The faster you become a master in your business, the bigger your business will be that much faster. If you dawdle and stick around in your baby pen of skills, delusional thinking that you're getting good, but you really are still struggling with the fundamental mistakes, it's going to take you that much longer to get to the top. Why would you do that to yourself? Work on creating the skills needed. And let me wrap up with this. And I want you guys to give this some thought as I wrap up here real quick. The art of finding people, right? We're done. I'm actually posting this video on YouTube over the next few days. I'm going to convert it into a video message, but you guys get a chance to hear it now as a trailer. It's what I call the 5 whats to thrive. The 5 whats to thrive. Right? The 5 whats to thrive in your business. Number 1, you have to ask yourself some questions. You have to be honest with yourself. Number 1, you have to ask yourself, okay, so what's working in my business right now? And incidentally, guys, this is also for life. This is also for life. Whether it's your health, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your academics, if you're in school, it doesn't matter. For tonight's purpose is about building a big business, right? Getting good at the art of finding people, right? Getting maximum results from the business opportunity that you joined, right? So you have to ask yourself, okay, so what's working? What's working with what I'm doing? And do more of that. It's working. But then you have to ask yourself, what's not working? What's not working in my business? Am I not finding enough people? Am I not making enough money? Am I not getting better at my communication? What's not working? What's not working that's holding me back? Is it discipline? What's not working? And then what needs to work? What absolutely needs to work? What needs to work? You need to get better at the art of finding people? Okay. Identify what needs to work and then what has to work. So you can say, well, what's the difference? Well, you can say this needs to work, but then do nothing about it, or not have that desire because it hasn't reached the level of having to work. I can identify things that need to work, but have they risen to the level of it has to work? Because that's the next level. That's the next question. What has to work? See, what has to work is such a strong question. It means If it doesn't work, I'm in trouble. If it doesn't work, I've got some serious situations that I'm going to be facing. I may not be in the business if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, then my friends and family who are laughing at me, it proves them right. What has to work? And the hardest question to ask is, what am I going to do about it? See, once you identify what's not working, what needs to work, and what has to, great, wonderful, beautiful. But then what are you going to do about it? Are you going to just hang up the webinar or once we shut down and go back to the same old, same old? Or are you going to say, you know what, Jay's right. Finding people, I suck at finding people. I suck at prospecting. That has to change. Otherwise, I'm out of a business. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to struggle. Otherwise, I can continue to be delusional about my success, but the only person I'm really kidding is the person that stares right back at me in the mirror. So what am I going to do about it? I'm going to take action. I'm going to make those changes. And if it means that you get better at the art of finding people, if it means that you go and you click and you pick up the training and you do the work, don't pick up the training and just let it sit around. That's a waste of time. You pick up the training, and tonight, right away, you go online, you order the material, you download the PDF, and you go back on LinkedIn, and you go crazy. And you wake up early tomorrow, and you go crazy with my opportunity and the stuff we talked about tonight. Until the rest of the training material gets to your house, work with what we talked about tonight. Work with what you can download tonight. That's doing something about it. I hope you enjoyed the webinar tonight, and I hope that you take that last part serious. Let me encourage you guys. I love feedback. It really excites me when I know that I'm making a difference. That's just who I am. I appreciate you being on the call tonight. Hopefully tonight has been the turning point in your business. It's 10:30 my time. I'm more excited now than I was an hour and a half ago when I started. I've not let my energy level down, and my tonality has not reduced. I think most of you would agree to that, because I love what I do. And I love more seeing my calling fulfilled through other people improving. That's where I get the biggest thrill from. So we took a little longer in this webinar than I normally do, but I think it was worth it. Hit me back with some feedback, guys, whether it's my email, whether it's on my YouTube page, whatever. Okay? But make sure that you go ahead and order your material. Get started. And then tell me the success stories, because that gets me even more thrilled when I hear that people are truly having success in changing their business dynamics just by getting better at finding people. Okay? Appreciate you guys. Have a good night, everybody.